What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814ADC, and today I'm ready to do my full review / overview of the Caelum Blade Designs Ari. This is the production version, and this knife just launched, I believe, a couple weeks ago. It was very, shortly around the time that I did my unboxing this video. And as always, I will leave a link to the website down below in the description. I just looked, all the different models are still available. So if you guys are interested, definitely go hurry over and pick one of them up. And this is a big knife for me. Right off the bat, you guys can see it's a pretty, big size knife. Some of the specs, so the blade length is 3.65 inches. Overall length is 8.75 inches. So to me, this is kind of like a pocket sword. When I have this much grip and this much area to cover on the handle, I consider this a pocket sword. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just don't prefer big knives like this. I definitely, which you guys know, I tend to gravitate more towards the smaller to medium-sized knives. For EDC, I don't think you need huge knives like this. At least in my personal daily life, I don't need big knives like this. But this thing is really well built. I believe this is being made, or these are made by QSP. The fit and finish on the materials is good. You're getting a great blade steel, an S90V, a beautiful sort of clip point, drop point style blade. It's kind of like a mixture between a clip, a drop, and a spear point. Just very beautiful. This is obviously the satin blade. Has some nice grind lines there. Comes down to a pretty thin edge. Has a medium thickness on the stock, I would have to say, but it comes down to a decently thin edge. Nice robust tip there if you have to do some piercing. These have these inlays right here that are not flush with the knife, and I believe they did that on a design, purpose to add some texture. And at first it was a little bit kind of, weird not having it be flush with the knife, but after carrying it and fidgeting with it, I definitely grew to appreciate the way they designed this in here. So up here, it just tucks in so well, and it's cut out with the knife. This is the copper carbon fiber, excuse me. So they have 6 different models on the website, and there are 3 different inlays. So you get the aluminum carbon fiber in a stone wash or a satin blade. You get the copper carbon fiber, which is what I have here, in a satin or stone wash, and then you get a black micarta in a satin or a stone wash. The black micartas both go for $269, and then all the aluminum carbon fibers go for $279, which we'll talk about, whether or not I think the price is accurate or fair, at the end of the video, as I always do. But yeah, this thing is really well made. So like I said, we're kind of going through materials already, but you have an S90V blade up here. You have a titanium bodied knife with 2 inlays on both sides, with this specifically being copper carbon fiber. One thing that I really like is they did the logo here on the knife, or the pivot, excuse me. I believe it's some sort of clouds, which is really cool, and I like how it has like a winged pivot collar to it, which is really nice. You have a milled titanium pocket clip that's nice and chunky, works pretty well. They do have a filler tab over here, so it is lefty friendly. If you are a lefty out there, you can carry it. Lefty, it is I would say a subframe lock, kind of a bolster lock, kind of a frame lock, because it's tucked under this inlay right there, but it works pretty well. It's on bearings. There is some internal milling on both sides of the knife. On the show scale side, you have 2 big milling pockets with a smaller one, and then the lock bar you have 3 smaller ones, as well as the relief cut on the actual lock bar itself. You have some standoffs back here. For opening methods, you have a nice big hole, and then you have a front flipper as well. And I think that's everything for materials. So next up, we are jumping into action. The action on this knife is pretty well, tuned. Has a nice snappy detent. You guys can hear it snapping back into place there. Thumb flick. The thumb flick took me a little bit to get used to, because the hole is partly tucked into behind the scale there. So you just have to find the right area to fire into. And I said the same thing in the review of the Forest. When you have skinnier, longer holes, I much prefer a wider, more of a traditional circle hole to thumb flick with, just because my thumb lands there a little bit better. But with this, once you get, and it's very similar to any other knife that has a hole this shaped. Once you get used to it and once you spend some time with it, you'll eventually learn where to put your thumb and where to flick from. As you guys can see, I got used to it and it fires very well. It's very snappy. Now for the middle finger flick, it also works very well. One thing that I did pick up on is when I try to put like the whole meat of my thumb in there, you guys can see the blade moving a little bit. I disengage the lock or the detent ball from the hole, and then I have a little bit more room to fire with, but then I have less sort of pressure from the detent ball, so it's more on my finger. But that's just something I kind of picked out on. But if I just pick it up and just grab it and fire it, and I don't try to get the meat of my middle finger down into that hole, and I kind of just put it on the top right here, it still fires out very well. But I just wanted to let you guys know that, because sometimes that happens with the way the holes are shaped. I just kind of disengage it, but it still works very well. I could even try to fail it, but I mean that's just me trying to fail it. So it still fires. You can index finger flick it. Now for the front flipper, also works very, very well. They have jimping on the front flipper that goes up over top of it, which is very nice. I can definitely appreciate when a maker or a designer does that, as opposed to bringing the jimping to like right here and then stopping it. I love when they bring it up over, because you need that extra grip to pop it free, and it's very snappy, very fun to fidget with. Then on the closing action, drops to your nail, and you can see, without me shaking the knife, I can move it around, and it's not going to be, a guillotine dropper, but some micro shakes, it'll go home. It's very smooth. No blade play at all. This thing is locked up super tight like a bank vault. Lefty, lefty, and lefty. So it's very, very easy to use both ways. I really like the way the front flipper works on this knife, because you have such a big blade and it just comes thundering out of there. So I'm getting a little too close to the camera, but it works very well. D10 is tuned very nicely. Closing action is good. So all in all, no complaints with the action. But next up, that leads me to ergos. And when you have a big knife like this, it is pretty much impossible to not have a comfortable ergonomic grip on the knife. I've been really thirsty this morning. I don't know why. The two reviews I've filmed so far, or the one I filmed and this one that I'm currently filming, I've been very thirsty, and I don't know why I'm thirsty. But yeah, this thing is uber comfortable. You do have kind of a little landing choil up here, but starting off without choking up, I can still get probably another finger on there if I needed to. The jimping is right up top here. Works very well in this grip, because my thumb kind of lands right on the end part of it, but I still get a very good grip on it. It's very comfortable. The way the titanium is finished and the inlays, I thought the inlays might cause a little bit of a weird kind of, not hot spot, but a little, like I figured I could tell them it was there, just because they're kind of raised off of the knife, but I really can't at all. The pot clip is so flush and so neutral to the scale, that's not causing any sort of hot spot either, which is very, very nice. And again, you can switch it lefty or righty. But choked up here, this is also very comfortable. Now I could get probably 2 fingers on there if I needed to, if I had 2 extra pinkies. And I can still hit a little bit of that jimping if I want to sort of sit in the saber grip, or if I have to do some push cuts, I can sort of what's the word I'm looking for, hike my way up here with my thumb, get some good control for pushing into cardboard. But it also gives me good control if I'm cutting into a letter, into an Amazon package, cutting around things. The pinch grip is very nice. You guys know I love to take my thumb, my middle finger, both sides of the pivot, and then I use my index finger as a guide sort of when I'm slicing through things. That's very comfortable with this knife as well. I have not really found a bad way to hold this knife. Hammer grip is comfortable, saber grip, reverse hammer grip, reverse hammer grip, reverse saber grip, I guess you could say. This has a nice landing pad back here if you happen to be needing to stab into something. It gives you a good purchase with the knife. But all in all, it's finished very well. It's a very simple, design. It's not a whole lot going on. It's just pretty much flat back here on the top until it tapers off, and it kind of tapers the whole way along there, but it's pretty neutral. So there's no huge like indents or curvatures or anything like that. It's going to be comfortable for, unless you have a ginormous hand that's going to make this knife look small, it's going to be comfortable for any hand type, and I can definitely appreciate when designs are like that. But no complaints at all with the ergos. Next up is carry. This knife weighs 4.9 ounces, so it's definitely a little bit heavier of a knife than I'm typically used to carrying, as well as it's a bigger knife, it's a longer knife, but it's still carried pretty well. You do have about this much sticking up out of your pocket, which again is just kind of due to how the knife is shaped and how it has a pointy end. But maybe if they would have, I don't know, tucked the pot clip up into the corner more, it could have carried a little bit deeper. But all in all, it's not too bad. I've gotten used to carrying non-deep carry clips, so it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. But sits in your pocket, you have no jimping or anything that's going to catch your fingers or your hand if you're down here getting chapstick, coins, medicine. If you go to pull up out, you're not going to catch it and pull the knife out of your pocket. But all in all, I only carry this in my jeans. I didn't carry this in my gym shorts like around the house like I typically do with a lot of my knives, just because it's a pretty big knife. I didn't really want to toss that in there, but it carried in my jeans okay. It wasn't the best carry, it wasn't the worst carry. It's kind of right in the middle, just due to it having a not a full deep carry clip, and the pot clip is kind of stiff, and it was a little bit of a pain to get it over the lip of my jeans, but it wasn't the end of the world. And I'm sure with more use and more carry, it'll loosen up a little bit and allow it to go into pocket a little bit easier. But carry is probably my least favorite thing with a knife, and that's just again due to how big the knife is. It's a little bit heavier than I'm used to. It's a bigger knife than I'm used to. So of course I'm not going to love those type of things, but it's definitely out of ergos and action and fit and finish, it's definitely probably my least favorite part of the knife and my biggest gripe of the knife. But that's just not me, or that's just me not enjoying bigger knives. So you have to take that kind of with a grain of salt. But that leads me to my final category of price point and what I recommend this knife. So if you guys are into big knives and that big knives, big pocket swords don't bother you at all, I can absolutely recommend this. I think it's from a fit and finish standpoint. Again, I think it was QSP. They killed it. They did a fantastic job with the materials, and the inlays are very well done. Again, you have to remember they're not flush, but they're designed to be that way. But they're still fantastic. I love the little detailed accents on here, such as the pivot. The blade is very nice. You're getting S90V, which, like I said on the Forest review, it's a very good steel, and it's a high-end steel that I think a lot of people don't use as much. So it's cool that I just did 2 reviews with 2 production knives that are using S90V. I definitely can recommend it from that standpoint. Action is good with the the front flipper. Definitely poppy, definitely snaps out of there very well. Middle finger flick works very nicely. Thumb flick works nicely, and you get a great drop to your thumb, shake, close in your home, and then, or you can try to do it's hard to do with a frame lock, but you guys can see it drops pretty well, and it just takes a shake or two to get home. The action is tuned very nicely. It's locked up tighter than a bank vault, like I said earlier, and you're still getting great action. So I can recommend it to anybody that likes big knives, and I think the price is great on this. $269 to $279, depending on if you're getting micarta or one of the aluminum carbon fibers in either a stonewash or a satin blade. So you kind of have a mixture of whatever you want to get. You have some choices. And I think that's a great price, and they are all currently available. So definitely go check out the link in the description down below if you guys are interested in picking one of these up. I don't know the designer behind this. I've definitely watched some of Kevin's videos regarding this knife, and he's probably said his name a few times, but I'm not familiar with who it is. I don't know if his name is Caelum, and that's why it's Caelum Blade Designs. But this is their first model that they come out with, and I think it's a home run. If this knife were like a 3.25 inch knife, I would maybe consider picking one of these up, because I do like the design is different, and the materials are cool. But I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for some of his newer designs and some of the stuff he has coming next. Hopefully he designs a few smaller knives. I don't know if he's going to be all into big designs and all into big knives, but we'll have to see what they do with that. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed getting to check it out. And this was coming from the Lefty passaround group. So thank you, Kevin. As always, you get to, I get to check out a lot of cool shit from Kevin because he puts in most of the stuff he gets from companies that they send him. He puts into the passaround group when he's done with it. So he allows us, other channels to check it out. And a lot of the content you guys see on the channel, especially recently, has been from Kevin. So that's a huge, plus, and a huge shout out and a huge thank you to Kevin. Man, I'm thirsty. I gotta go get some gum or something. I don't know. Does that ever happen to you guys? Like sometimes when I chew gum, it makes me less thirsty. I don't know if it's just a mindset thing or if it actually does anything like, to my body. But that's just what I've always thought of. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. Let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts on the Ari? Do you guys like the design? Similar to me, do you guys like the design, but it's just too big? Or are you guys big knife fans? I would love to hear what you guys have to say, so definitely leave a comment down below. And don't forget, this will be linked down below. Caelum Blade Designs in the description, as well as Blue Creek Knives and Barnescraft Designs. If you use code 814 EDC for, at your end of purchase, you can get 10% off at Blue Creek Knives and 15% off at Barnescraft Designs. Helps me, helps you, helps Brian, and helps Holden. It is a win-win-win. But I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. I just want to, thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Each and every one of you. Can't talk today. And I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening, morning, night, whenever you're watching this. Hope you're doing good and I hope you guys are having a good time. So talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.